21 shocking facts about India. Number 21. Freddie Mercury. The extremely famous and talented frontman of the iconic band Queen, Freddie Mercury was actually of Indian descent, though many people don't know this. It's true. Mercury was born Farrokh Bulsara and spent a lot of his time up until his mid-teens in India before moving to England. In many places, he stated that his nationality was British Indian. It was in India, in fact, that he first received his formal piano training, which would become the cornerstone and basis of his musical talent. Number 20. Floating post office. While it's pretty widely known that India has the highest number of post offices in the world, one thing you might not know is the extremes they go in order to distribute their mail. For instance, one of the many post offices in India is actually a boat. The floating post office in Srinagar has become a popular part of tourist itinerary since its inauguration in 2011. If you're a resident of India, you'll also know right away if you get a letter postmarked from the floating post office. All mail which is posted there bears a special design which features landscape depictions of Dal Lake and other attractions in Srinagar. Number 19. New workforce. It's no secret that India accounts for a lot of the outsourced workers in the world. The actual numbers, though, might shock you. The world's workforce has shifted greatly to India, with up to 25% of new workers joining the world's working pool coming from India. This is a pretty big deal, since virtually no other country in the world can top those numbers. India's job market is only expected to grow in direct proportion to the world of tech-based companies currently popping up all over the world. Number 18. Oldest city. There is a lot of archaeological evidence to suggest that the Indian city of Varanasi is probably the oldest continuously inhabited city in the world. This means that while it is not the oldest city where people ever lived, it is the only city in the world which can trace its history back from present day in a straight line all the way to potentially the 20th century BC. That's more than 4,000 years ago. Number 17. Zero. The concept of the number zero was first theorized in India. This may seem strange since zero is now a fundamental part of our understanding of the world and even small children can grasp the concept. But humanity once did not have a true concept of zero. As early as the 5th century, however, it's speculated that Indian scholars were using the concept of zero in their math. Number 16. Visible from space. It's actually a common myth that the Great Wall of China is visible from space. That might be a letdown, but you'll be happy to know that India has an even cooler claim to space fame. In 2001, the Maha Kumbh Mela spiritual gathering, which takes place every 144 years in India, had so many participants that it was visible from space. This event, which attracted more than 70 million people to the sacred location, still counts as the largest gathering of humans in one place ever. Number 15. The wettest place in the world. A remote location in India known as Masinram is considered to be the wettest place in the world. This is because the location has the highest average annual rainfall, with an average of nearly 10,000 millimeters of rain in a given year. To put that in perspective, the wettest city in the USA, Mobile, Alaska, receives just 1,700 millimeters of rainfall on average. Number 14. Martial arts. We now associate cultures such as those of China and Japan with martial arts, but it was actually in India that the concept of martial arts was first created. Kalari Payeto, or the study of war, was created in India as far back as the 3rd century BC. The style is still practiced today and itself is the basis for many more forms of modern martial arts. Number 13. More poor than anywhere. Although India's culture is world-renowned, India is also home to a startling disparity. To a point, India has more poor people than any other country in the world. According to the Millennium Development Goals report by the UN, more than 1/3 of the world's population of poor live in India. This is something that India is working to resolve. Their government considers poverty to be one of the biggest concerns they face and works to reduce that number. Number 12. Bandra Worli Sealink. A cable-stayed bridge in India called the Bandra Worli Sealink contains enough steel wire to wrap around the entire Earth. Additionally, the megalith structure contains 90,000 tons of cement and has a daily traffic volume of approximately 37,500 vehicles. The structure also has a height of 63 times that of Qutb Minar, the tallest brick minar in the world, also located in India. Number 11. Outsourced IT. We mentioned earlier that India is pretty much the fastest growing job market in the world. A large part of that is because modern tech companies around the world see India as the premier destination for outsourced IT work. In fact, more than 80% of US companies choose India as their first choice for outsourcing software development and support. More recent estimates have shown that about 50% of the world's outsourced IT ends up in India. Pretty cool. Number 10. Shampooing. Most Americans shampoo an average of 4 to 6 times per week. It's part of the daily routine to lather up your hair in order to keep it clean, and you'll quickly become a social pariah if you choose not to do so. But did you know that the concept of shampooing comes from India? It's true. In fact, the word shampoo comes from the Sanskrit word shampoo, or to massage. Number 9. Indian movie market. Although the Western world thinks of Hollywood when movies come to mind, India thinks of Bollywood. In fact, India's movie market is so big that it accounts for more than the ticket sales of the United States and Canada combined. In 2013, Indian ticket sales for movies accounted for about $2.7 billion. When all of this is taken into account, it's undeniable that Indians truly love their movies. Number 8. World's biggest family. A man from India named Zayana Channa is currently recognized as having the largest family in the world. He has 39 wives who have borne him 94 children, and who have in turn given him 33 grandchildren. The huge family actually all lives together in a gargantuan 100-room mansion in the Mizoram village of Baktwang in India. Channa says that he considers himself to be a lucky man to have such a large family. Number 7. The Indian lunar mission, Chandrayaan-1, is significant not just because it's a major achievement by a world power, but also because that mission is responsible for the discovery of water on the moon. This discovery shocked the world when it was announced in 2009, with a spokesperson from NASA saying none of us had expected this 10 years ago. The Indian space program is actually the 5th largest in the world, and with the popularization of private space exploration, it's likely we'll see more space missions coming out of India in the near future. Number 6. Spa for elephants. Elephants are an important part of Indian culture, so important in fact that there exists a spa in India which is reserved just for elephants. Each year during the sweltering summer month of July, elephants in India get a bit of a reprieve from the heat. They enjoy scrub downs by locals who lovingly clean them and bathe them in the center, which is located in the famous part of the Guravianpan Hindu temple. Number 5. Second largest English-speaking country. As part of their push to become a major part of the world's workforce, India has embraced the English language. They've done so in such a big way, in fact, India is now the 2nd largest English-speaking country in the world, second only to the United States. Part of this is because India actually does not have a national language of their own. Hindi is the official language of the Indian government, but most people see it as a relic of the past and opt to speak English instead. Number 4. Vegetarian population. Indian eating habits are a lot different from those in the Western world. That's no secret. But it's surprising to learn that a huge amount of the population of India considers themselves vegetarian. Meat is a huge cornerstone of Western diets, especially in America, but that's not the case in India. In fact, more than 500 million people in India don't eat meat at all. This is because both due to poverty preventing access to meat as well as health and spiritual reasons. Either way, India is home to the largest percentage of vegetarians in the world. Vegetarianism is so widespread in India, in fact, that popular restaurant chain Pizza Hut had to create vegetarian menu choices to stay relevant there. Number 3. Milk production. Although many people know that Indian culture considers cows as sacred, you might be surprised to learn that this hasn't stopped them from becoming the largest producer of milk in the world. In fact, India alone accounts for more than 18% of all the milk produced globally. This constitutes an output of more than 146 million tons of milk per year. So next time you go to dip your Oreo cookie, thank India. Number 2. Indian diamonds. Although diamond mining is now typically associated with different parts of Africa, it was actually in India that diamonds were first mined. Indian diamond mining dates back all the way to the 4th century BC, where Indian miners discovered the gems and pulled them from the earth to send along trade routes with China. India is so historically associated with diamond mining, in fact, that it was common thought up until the 18th century that the stones could only be found in India. Number 1. Sugar consumption. It turns out that we pretty much have India to thank for our sugar consumption. Farming of sugarcane in India dates back more than 60,000 years, with the first consumers of the sweet confection doing so just shortly after migrating to what would become India. Sugar went on to become one of the most highly sought-after prizes along the Silk Road trade route and was the basis for India's initial success in early human civilization.
Subscribe for more videos.